This morning, the livestock carrier is back in Fremantle, the latest from the port. A man taken to hospital after a chemical emergency at a Perth high school. Why the right to disconnect could put daylight saving back on the agenda. And on the red carpet as Australian icon Kylie Minogue takes home a Grammy.
This is 7 Morning News, live from Perth with Tina Altieri.
Good morning, thanks for joining us. The livestock export ship that's been in limbo off our coast has returned to port again this morning. Its future has been thrown a further curveball, with Israeli animal welfare groups now seeking an injunction to stop the import of the sheep on board. Lucy Murray is in Fremantle.
The MV Bahija returned to Fremantle Port early this morning. It's now taking on enough fuel and food to make the long journey to Israel, but it still doesn't have federal government export approval. The ship was turned around to avoid Houthi rebels in the Red Sea, arriving back here a week ago. Hundreds of cattle were unloaded on Friday to reduce the stock on board. That's part of the Israel-owned exporter's application to re-export the sheep via South Africa, which is a much longer route and needs federal government approval. And now there's a new challenge. Israeli animal rights organisations have begun legal proceedings to stop the live export. Animals Now and Let the Animals Live say the planned longer route amounts to grievous animal cruelty. They say the longer journey will be too stressful for the animals on board, making them more susceptible to sickness and disease.
I could tell that they were breathing at 120 breaths per minute. So the average breath rate for a sheep is sort of between 20 and 30 breaths per minute. So, they're already going 4 times, 5 times, 6 times above what they should be doing.
The ship spent the night more than 200 kilometres out at sea for routine cleaning. It's understood a low number of animals have died in the 30 days since it originally left port.
And we have breaking news now. Emergency services have been called to Melville Senior High School for a HAZChem incident. It's believed the issue involves a liquid chlorine spill at the swimming pool, as well as a small acid spill in the pump room.
We could smell it from approximately 20 or 30 metres away, so we pulled back to a safer distance, and then we set up with our breathing gear and some detectors to assess the scene before sending crews in.
St John Ambulance has taken a pool cleaning contractor, a man in his 60s, to Fiona Stanley Hospital for treatment. 2 nearby classrooms were evacuated as a precaution. Fortunately, no students were involved in the incident. A major recovery mission near Geraldton will continue today after a car plunged 30 metres off a cliff. 2 men were killed while a third man miraculously survived the crash. It happened on a private property near Sandy Gully. It's understood the trio went 4-wheel driving in the dark along the rugged coastline. The third man lost consciousness for an unknown period of time. He managed to get out of the vehicle, climb up the cliff and walk until he found help. The Treasurer has warned his opponents not to stand in the way of Stage 3 tax changes, saying it was the only option in a cost of living crisis. As political reporter Isabel Mullen reports, the latest news poll is positive for the government.
Well, most people are backing this decision despite the Prime Minister breaking an election promise. 62% say yes, the Prime Minister is doing the right thing in giving more to middle income earners. 29% no, insisting the changes are a bad idea. Labor's primary vote is up 1 point at 34%, but the two-party preferred split hasn't changed from last year, 52 to 48 in Labor's favour. Treasurer Jim Chalmers took aim at the Greens and the Coalition earlier this morning.
This is an important test, I think, for the other members of Parliament. Will they put tangible benefits for the workers and families and communities of this country before their own political self-interest?
I think Australians do care about broker promises. They've said that they would like the tax cut. Of course they want a tax cut. When you're doing it tough, you will reach for any assistance that you can get.
Peter Dutton is expected to back the cuts when the Shadow Cabinet meets today. The Cost of Living Committee also meeting this morning discussing the proposed changes. The legislation will be introduced into Parliament tomorrow, with financial relief expected to kick in July.
The Chamber of Commerce and Industry says WA could be left behind by proposed right to disconnect laws. The suggested laws would ban calls and emails outside work hours. For us here in WA, it would mean East Coast colleagues couldn't contact us until midday their time, and then we'd have to wrap up interstate business by 2 our time.
This will take us right back to 20 years ago in terms of a rigid workplace environment. This will disincentivise employers from providing more flexible work options for their staff because they'll be fearful of contacting them outside their standard hours. And so what we'll see is this won't work for the very people it's meant to benefit.
The Chamber says if the proposed laws come in, it could reignite the daylight saving debate here in WA to bring us closer to the east. One person has been charged and 3 others are still on the run after the stabbing death of a Queensland grandmother in front of her granddaughter. A 15-year-old boy was charged this morning with 1 count of unlawful use of a motor vehicle in relation to the alleged stolen car. Jordan Bissell is following the story.
Good morning. A touching vigil has taken place where the 70-year-old was stabbed in front of her 6-year-old granddaughter on Saturday night. Vilene White was stabbed at the Redbank Plains shopping centre just after 6 o'clock. Her attacker then stole her Hyundai Getz and left her for dead. The 70-year-old died on scene despite the best efforts of Good Samaritans. The community in mourning organised a vigil here at the shopping centre last night.
See justice for Vilene and her family, and also to make sure that this is the last victim of violent attacks in our community.
It comes as Queensland Police have released CCTV of Vilene's attacker and 3 other men leaving her car on a Springfield Lakes suburban street. Anyone with information is asked to come forward.
Australians are mourning the death of Indigenous leader Loicha O'Donoghue. Dr O'Donoghue was central to some of the country's most historic moments in Indigenous affairs, including the 1967 referendum that recognised Indigenous people as full citizens, native title legislation and the national apology to the stolen generation.
She was admired and respected by both sides of the House. She was admired and respected across this country.
Dr O'Donoghue died in South Australia, aged 91. A man will face court later this month after being charged over a shocking road rage attack in Mandurah. Witnesses were forced to step in and stop 2 drivers fighting at a red light on Pinjarra Road. A 45-year-old Dudley Park man has been charged with assault occasioning bodily harm. Well, Aussie pop princess Kylie Minogue has won the inaugural Grammy for Best Pop Dance Recording. Picking up the award for her song Padam Padam, it marks her first win in 20 years. US correspondent Miley Hogan is on the red carpet.
Well, Kylie Minogue has done it. She has won a Grammy for her viral hit, Padam Padam. It was nominated for Best Pop Dance Recording, the first time that genre has featured at the Grammys. Kylie Minogue wasn't there to receive her award. She was still getting ready, posting this video on her social media pages when she found out the news. Kylie Minogue beat fellow Australian Troye Sivan for the award. He was also up for Best Music Video Clip. He did not win that either. Australian artist Dom Dollar was also nominated for a Grammy. It was the first time that he was up for an award. Unfortunately, he will not be going home with that Grammy tonight, but he did stop by on the red carpet to say hello and share how he was feeling about just being nominated.
I'm nervous, I'm really excited. A few beers tonight, I'm pretty pumped.
The major awards are yet to be announced. Taylor Swift is nominated in 3 of the 4 categories. She is up for Song of the Year, Record of the Year and Album of the Year. If she picks up Album of the Year, she will make history as the artist that has won that award 4 times. Well, the Grammys are just as much about the performances as they are the awards, and there are some show-stopping performances lined up this evening. Look out for Joni Mitchell. She will be taking the stage for the first time in her entire music career at 80 years old. She will be performing this evening. Another one to look out for, Tracy Chapman. She is set to take the stage alongside Luke Combs to sing the hit Fast Car.
Thanks, Miley. You're watching 7's Morning News live from Perth. Still to come, Chile's deadliest wildfires on record, homes destroyed and hundreds of people missing. And the sobering increase to the tax on alcohol from today.
7 News takes you inside Australia's world-first eye farm. You will see the growing of corneas.
This is cutting-edge technology.
Curing eye diseases and blindness.
It renews your life again.
The eye-opening day surgery restoring 20/20 vision on 7 News at...
Welcome back. An Adelaide man is in court today charged with murdering a grandmother and her son in the city's western suburbs. A 43-year-old man who was staying across the road from where the alleged victims, Steve and Antoinette Tozer, were killed, has been charged with 2 counts of murder. Steve's son, Joshua, has spoken out over their brutal deaths, remembering his dad as a loving father. Well, the cost of a drink is on the rise as the latest alcohol tax hike kicks in. Many producers are worried what this could mean for business as consumers are already cutting back on their spending. Tom Johnson reports.
A bitter taste for producers and consumers today, with the price of a pint rising by roughly 90 cents. Now the latest hike in the alcohol excise tax has come into effect. It means brewers and distillers will be paying more than $100 in tax per litre of pure alcohol. That means $15 pints at the bar could soon become the norm. The tax hike kicks in twice a year and rises in line with inflation. And that's meant this latest round has been especially tough on the industry, which argues the ever-increasing tax is archaic and unsustainable. Producers are warning it may be enough to force some businesses to close, given it's happening as consumers are already cutting back their spending amid the cost of living crunch. Australia already has some of the highest taxes on alcohol in the world, with this only adding to the pressure on the sector.
At least 99 people have been killed and hundreds are still missing as Chile's deadliest forest fire on record sweeps through the country's central region. More than 1,300 homes have been destroyed and thousands evacuated.
Like a scene from an apocalyptic movie, clouds of black smoke ominously invade the skies above the Valparaiso region of central Chile, home to nearly 1 million people. People have been told to evacuate as firefighters do everything they can to quell fast-moving flames carried on 30-mile-an-hour winds that threaten to engulf more densely populated urban areas. The coastal tourist city of Vina del Mar has been one of the hardest hit, with rescue teams struggling to reach all the affected areas. Some people have been able to return to what was a home. Livelihoods and livestock have both gone up in flames.
10 minutos.
In 10 minutes, the fire was already on us, this resident says. There was smoke, the sky turned black, everything was dark. The wind felt like a hurricane. It was like being in hell. Authorities say 90 fires have burned through over 100,000 acres of land, as the true scale of devastation can be seen from above. Wildfires are not uncommon in Chile over summer months, but this year's high temperatures over 40 degrees and strong winds have hampered firefighting efforts, with the El Niño weather pattern causing drought and hotter than usual temperatures in South America this year. Authorities have called the number of fatalities provisional, indicating there may be many more confirmed deaths in the coming days.
Paramedics have brought the dead and injured to a central Gaza hospital after the latest day of Israeli strikes. At least 7 people were killed and 15 others injured when a strike hit a house. Nurses were forced to tend to 3 young boys on the floor of a crowded hospital. Israel's aerial bombardment of Gaza continues despite international calls for a ceasefire. King Charles has made his first public appearance since undergoing surgery. The monarch and Queen Camilla attended a Sunday service at the Sandringham Estate Church. Charles could be seen smiling and waving to a small group of well-wishers. It's now been a week since he was discharged from the private London clinic following treatment for an enlarged prostate. The traditional Chinese lion dance has taken a deep dive. Visitors wowed by professional divers wearing the costume as they took to the depths of Aquaria Kuala Lumpur Convention Centre. Performing next to curious turtles and fish, it's part of a series of underwater events to celebrate the upcoming Chinese New Year. You're watching 7's Morning News live from Perth. Coming up right after the break, a piece of magic from Cameron Green helps the Aussies wrap up the one-day series against the Windies. And Australia's Snow Queen crowned our greatest World Cup skier. Welcome back. Well, Australia has uncovered some long-term one-day stars in the series victory over West Indies, sealed by last night's 83-run win at the SCG. After a match-saving 69 with the bat, Sean Abbott took 3 for 40, his third thanks to another screamer from Cameron Green.
Oh, it's a stunner to his left. Abbott has another, and it's Cameron Green, the albatross.
Abbott says the series has been vital in exposing young guns to international cricket.
We've seen 4 debutants already who have gone about it, different ways, but I think they've, jumped on the front foot early and they look ready to keep playing. So, yeah, I think there are some long-term options there that we've seen already.
And there'll be more chances to impress in tomorrow's third game in Canberra. Jon Rahm's Live golf debut was almost perfect. The Rebel Tour's new big signing shared the lead with 2 holes to play in Mexico before he hit it into the water on 17. In fading light, Joaquin Niemann and Sergio Garcia faced off for the title in the playoff.
After hitting the drive, I wanted to say it. I can't see.
Niemann, the Australian Open champion, sealed victory with a putt on the 4th extra hole. Macarthur FC are into the A-League's top 4 after a controversial 4-3 win over local rivals Western Sydney Wanderers. French import Valère Germain starred with a hat-trick. He scored twice early as the Wanderers went down to 10 men. Germain then forcing a winner across the line in the 93rd minute.
But it's in! It counts! Valère Germain has scored! Lawrence Thomas cannot believe it!
The Wanderers coach slammed the referee and accused the A-League of bias against his club. And Reds keeper Alison Ibrahima Konate was sent off for a second offence.
Wins the match surely now for Arsenal!
They're now second, just 2 points behind Liverpool. Chelsea dropped to 11th with a 4-2 thrashing by Wolves. Man United went ahead of West Ham in 6th with a 3-0 win. West Coast Eagles legend Ben Cousins believes the club's new superstar recruit, Harley Reid, has got the goods to take the AFL in his stride this season. The Premiership midfielder and Brownlow medalist is backing his old club to also take their steps forward in 2024. But he admits he's just not sure how far those steps will take them this season. Moguls Queen Jakara Anthony is now Australia's greatest World Cup skier, passing dual Olympic medalist Dale Begg-Smith with the 18th goal of her career. The 25-year-old's 11th win of the season equals the all-time record in a single campaign.
It's probably the best run I've ever competed here, so to do that and then come away tying Hannah's record and with another globe, I'm just mind-blown, to be honest.
The reigning Olympic champion secured the Crystal Globe as overall World Cup champion. Well, a warm and sunny day in the city, but it's about to get very hot again. I'll tell you when right after the break.
7 News knows Perth.
Headlines flash by all day.
But to know the news, watch 7 News at 6 o'clock.
And here's why.
It was members of the gang crime squad that arrested him.
Our reporters are newsbreakers.
Are you a victim of their negligence?
With more exclusive reports that dig deeper
and demand answers.
We commit to travel to wherever the stories happen, even the front line.
Chris Reason from Channel 7 Australia.
As international news unfolds in Europe.
We're live to you at 6 p.m.
Breaking down the global issues that matter back home in Perth. 7 News understands.
Our reporters travel from suburb to suburb.
Here in Joondalup
and across our state to bring you the news.
I can confirm.
This is the team we trust.
And thank you
for trusting 7 News.
Checking your weather details now. It's currently 24 degrees in our city. Let's take a look around the suburbs. 28 degrees along the coast from Joondalup right down to Mandurah. Ellenbrook is heading for 29 degrees today. Slightly warmer in Gosnells and Armidale, both expecting 30 degrees. And for the rest of the week, a very similar day tomorrow in the city with a top of 32 degrees. And then it starts to really warm up. 36 degrees on Wednesday, 38 degrees for Thursday. Friday, very hot and 41 degrees, and then 40 degrees on Saturday before dipping back to 34 on Sunday. And that is 7's morning news for this Monday. Thanks so much for your company. Stay with us. We'll have the very latest updates right across the afternoon and, of course, in our main bulletins at 4 and then at 6 o'clock. I'm Tina Altieri. Enjoy the rest of your day.